Somewhere behind a house with barely enough yard for 2 raised beds, there's a $40 composter nobody's touched in 8 months. Half full of kitchen scraps that went in looking like food and are still sitting there looking like food. $15, a trash can, and 2 rows of drilled holes are what does this in about 2 months. No pile bigger than a laundry basket. Nothing to turn that needs a strong back. There's also one part of this that has nothing to do with the can itself. Something about where you set it down that decides whether this works in 6 weeks or never works at all. I bought a spinning tumbler composter my first year in this house. The kind that sits on a metal frame, you crank it every few days, and the ad promised finished compost in a few weeks. I turned it on schedule every 3rd day for months. Opened the hatch in late fall expecting dark, crumbly compost. What I found looked almost exactly like what I'd loaded in. Wet, matted, and starting to smell less like a garden and more like something that had gone bad in the back of the fridge. I figured the problem was volume. Not enough material in there to get anything going. So the next year I built a pile instead, out behind the shed. Bigger, open to the air, the kind of setup every gardening book tells you to build. Same result, just slower and with more flies. Neither one of those failures had anything to do with size. Both of them had the same problem, and it wasn't obvious until I stopped blaming the container and started looking at where the water was going. Heat turned out to have almost nothing to do with whether compost works. A pile can sit at ground temperature all winter and still turn into good compost by spring. What decides it is whether air and water can move through the material the way they're supposed to. Not the size of the container, not a fancy tumbler mechanism, not a thermometer stuck in the middle telling you a number you're supposed to hit. That's good news if your yard is a patio, a strip of dirt behind a townhouse, or a corner you share with a grill and a couple of lawn chairs. You don't need the volume of a compost bay behind a farmhouse to make this work. You need a container that drains, breathes, and sits in the right spot. A $15 trash can with holes drilled in it does every one of those 3 things better than most $40 composters do, because most of those composters are built to look good on a store shelf, not to drain. I'll say this plainly because it's the position I've landed on after wasting 2 seasons proving myself wrong. Compost isn't a size problem. It's a drainage and airflow problem wearing a size costume. Solve drainage and airflow in a 5-gallon bucket, and you'll outproduce a badly built pile 3 times its height. 3 things make this work, and none of them are complicated on their own. First, the can itself, and specifically how you turn a plain trash can into something that actually breathes. Second, what you put inside it, and the 2 simple checks that tell you if you've got the mix right without doing any math. Third, and this is the one most people skip past, where you actually set the thing down because that single decision does more work than anything you put inside it. Start with a plain plastic trash can, somewhere between 20 and 32 gallons. Doesn't need a lid that locks, doesn't need to be branded as anything. Home improvement stores sell the plain ones for around $15, sometimes less. Drill holes around the entire can, top to bottom, spaced roughly 4 inches apart in every direction. 3/8 of an inch is a good hole size, big enough to let air move, small enough that finished compost doesn't just pour out the sides. Do the bottom too, several holes, not just a few. This is the step people skip, and it's the one that matters most. A can with holes only around the sides and a solid bottom is just a bucket that collects water at the base, and that stagnant water is where the whole thing turns sour. If space is even tighter than a trash can allows, a 5-gallon bucket works the same way, same hole pattern, same spacing, just less volume, which means slightly slower results. Either way, once the holes are done, you've built the one piece of equipment this whole system needs. Forget the ratio charts. You don't need to weigh anything or calculate a 30-to-1 carbon ratio to get this right. There are 2 simple checks instead, and they work every time. First, every time you add something wet and rich, like food scraps or coffee grounds, cover it with something dry and brown, like shredded cardboard or dry leaves, until you can't see it and you can't smell it anymore. If it starts to smell, you added too much wet material without enough dry. Add more brown and move on. Second, once a week, grab a handful from the middle and squeeze it. You want 1 drop of moisture to come out, maybe 2. If your hand comes away dripping, it's too wet, add more dry cardboard. If nothing comes out at all and the material crumbles like it's been sitting in an oven, it's too dry, add a splash of water and mix it in. Between the smell test and the squeeze test, you'll catch almost every problem before it becomes a real one. Coffee grounds are worth mentioning specifically because most coffee shops will hand them over for free if you ask, and they count as a nitrogen source just like fresh food scraps do. Cardboard is the easiest brown material most households already throw away weekly. Strip off the tape and any glossy print, tear it into strips, and it does the job as well as dried leaves. The mistake that undoes this fastest is adding food scraps every day without ever adding the brown layer on top. That's the smell you're picking up in the container. The food is breaking down fine, it's just sitting wet against plastic with nothing covering it, and nowhere for that moisture to go. Cover it every time, and that problem disappears completely. What's your compost situation right now? A bin that's stalled out, or one you haven't started yet? Tell me where you're at. I read every comment on these. This is what decided everything in my own backyard, and almost nobody mentions it when they're selling you a composter. Set the can on a slight slope, or up on a couple of bricks. Anything that keeps water from pooling directly underneath it. A hard surface like a patio or concrete pad works completely fine, as long as it drains instead of holding a puddle against the bottom holes. Shade or sun doesn't matter much either way. The heat that makes some piles steam comes from a large volume of fresh green material all breaking down at once, which a container this size mostly won't build up regardless of where you put it. That's fine. Cold compost still finishes into something usable just on a slightly longer timeline, usually 6 to 8 weeks instead of 2 or 3. One more thing about location, and it's easy to overlook because it has nothing to do with how the compost turns out. Don't set the can right up against a wood fence, a shed wall, or the side of a deck, especially in the middle of summer. A pile or bin working hard enough to hold real heat, sitting directly against dry wood for weeks at a time is a legitimate fire risk, and it's the kind of thing that catches people who did everything else right. A couple feet of clearance from anything wooden is all it takes. For turning, you don't need a pitchfork or a strong back. Because the can has holes on every side and the material inside isn't packed to the size of a farm pile, you can simply tip the can on its side and roll it a few feet every week or 2. Some people go a step further and use a can with the bottom cut out, set it over the pile, and lift the whole can up off the material when they need to mix or harvest, letting the compost stay put while the container comes free. It's the same principle as pulling a mold off a sandcastle. That single trick is the reason this system works for people who physically can't manage a shovel in a 4-foot pile anymore, and it's the biggest advantage this method has over anything built around a pile you're expected to turn by hand. None of this made it onto the label of that $40 tumbler sitting in half the backyards in this country. The companies selling composters aren't wrong that people want this to be easier. They're just selling convenience instead of function, a sealed drum with a crank instead of a container that actually drains. The unglamorous version, a plain can with a drill through it, does the job those products are marketed as doing at a third of the price, because it was never about the crank. It was always about the holes. This week, get the can and drill the holes. That part takes about 20 minutes. Set it somewhere it can drain, a couple feet clear of anything wooden, and start layering kitchen scraps under torn-up cardboard right away. No need to wait for a full load of material first. Check back in about 6 weeks with the squeeze test. Expect the volume to drop by more than half of what you started with. That's normal, it means it's actually breaking down. By 8 weeks, it should look dark, crumbly, and smell like soil instead of garbage. I still keep one of these going year-round, out past the tomatoes. And every spring it saves me a couple bags of bought soil I used to pick up without thinking twice about the cost. If this is useful, hit subscribe, there's a lot more like it coming. If you want to go further with what actually saves you money in the garden this season, that's what the guide on the site is for. Links in the description. Drill the holes in that can today before buying another bag of potting mix this season. That $15 pays for itself the first time you don't have to.